in Canada. The forest fires are caused to an extent by the dry out of the forest due to the climate change. The weather patterns are what they are, and the smoke drifts down south, and you get a chance to see it in the northern regions of the United States. It's smoky.
What the Capitol looks like with all that smoke, all the way down to DC.
That's what Los Angeles used to look like when I was in elementary school. That would be a clear day in Los Angeles back when. That's why California to this day has all these stringent smog rules or emissions rules. That's what it looks like.
So is climate change real?
Well, what are you looking at? It's getting warmer, don't you notice?
It's chilly. It's going to be chilly this whole week for June.
Yeah, well, it might, but that's part of the prediction. They said that 15, 20 years ago. You will have these cold spots, but the general temperature will warm. The ice packs will melt off early in the Rockies when nothing's growing and waste of water, which will lead to droughts. You go skiing and you go to the ski resorts and you've been going for years, the snow is not stacking up as high as it used to be, and it's melting earlier, as predicted. Now, what do we have here?
Just real quick. So this is New York City Mayor Eric Adams speaking on the air quality. I just want to...
Use discretion when necessary. When I was a cop, I would use the discretion based on if someone did something that I have the power of discretion. We don't want heavy-handed policing. We don't want anyone using any devices to, any way get in the way of proper police practices. And from what I know, those PBA cars, those courtesy cars were used correctly and not in an abusive way. And so, I think this is in the court. Let the court decide how it's going to be played out. Thank you. Hey, Dana. How are you? Good, good, good.
Last year, when New York City released a nuclear attack PSA, the city said it was important for New Yorkers to understand that the city had plans for all sorts of imminent things. But yesterday, Zach, you said that there was no off-the-shelf plan for wildfires. And I'm wondering, given the growing preponderance of wildfires and global warming, why there were no off-the-shelf plans for that, and was that a failure?
Zach, you are not answering that. Let me be very clear. Climate change is creating unpredictable weather patterns. This administration and the previous administration, let me be very clear, under de Blasio, under Bloomberg, probably those are the three mayors that really had to deal with this. Bloomberg, de Blasio, and Eric all had to deal with this. There are going to be uncertainties. We're going to try to figure them out. We're going to respond as they come. So if someone wants to be built into, you didn't figure out every type of climate catastrophe. Hey, the meteor fell to the planet Earth. Y'all didn't have a plan for that? We're not living that way.
God, please, this is so sickening. Why didn't you just come out and say, look, I'm the mayor of New York. New York City can't do a damn thing about this but bitch. We're bitching, all right? Now, next question.
It's not a question. I'm talking
no,
about.
I mean, that's what he needs to do. Next question.
That's what he needs to do. Okay.
Yeah, there's not a damn thing mayor of New York can do about this particular problem. So other than bitch about it. So we will bitch. Let's move on to the next question. Why am I such a stupid asshole for bringing these illegals in here to stay with you? So once they get in, you can't get them out. You'll have to take them to court. And by the way, we haven't vetted a damn one of them. They may possess some communicable disease. They may be mentally ill. They may be rapists, murderers, drug fiends, homicidal maniacs. We don't know, but we're going to put them in your house, give you a little piece of change for a little while. And if you decide you can't handle it anymore, well, I hope you have enough money saved up to go to court to get a forcible entry and detainer writ on somebody. Yeah, dumb shit.
He did mention that in this small clip about because
I don't want to hear. He's damn fool. He's a damn fool. Let's move on. This is another one of these mayors in one of these cities is let the goddamn place go to hell because there's no leadership. And then he insulted the woman. He doesn't even know her. He calls her by her first name. Well, Susan.
Dana. Her name was Dana.
Dana. Not Ms. something or another. You casual asshole. Shit. Come on. Let's move on.
His thing with the climate change is saying that you can't control basically Mother Nature. So whether we have something in place or not, anything could happen.
What the hell could the city have in place to control something that's going on 1,200 miles up north in Canada?
Well, let me ask you this though, because you talked about California and their air pollution. Does it make it worse that the pollution was already worse before the smoke? So now with the smoke and the pollution that was already there, is increasing or making it more
what California did that had a direct result of what Los Angeles did. Los Angeles had an inversion layer that kept things from rising. So at one point they had this bright idea to get rid of the requirement to have a sanitation department. You had your organic garbage, and you're supposed to take that and your stuff like trash, and you were supposed to burn it in an incinerator. Well, you have a small problem, so you want to burn this shit, and you have a worse small problem. So obviously what you do is stop using the damn incinerators, and you have a new trash department pick the trash up. That would help. You start on stuff like that. But New York is not producing the weather change. It's not producing the forest fires up in Canada that are resulting on this. So why doesn't he just come out instead of running his empty mouth and saying, there's nothing we can do about this. We will try to lobby those people who do have input. I would suggest that you let your congressman and your senators know about this.
Right. He's trying to defend himself instead of just being a leader. But just going back real quick.
Bullshit.
When you talk about AOC and those type of liberal Democrats that was pushing that Green Deal that has to do with climate change or whatever, what was, do anybody have a solution? Because is climate change really being caused by us? Because Mother Nature is going to do what Mother Nature does.
Let's put it this way. Let me give you a profound example of in the fossil record, there was a huge climate change that caused a lot of the primitive life on the planet to die out. You know what it was?
What? I think
you started getting plants that started producing oxygen when they evolved the ability to do photosynthesis. It killed off most of the life forms on the planet until some evolved that could tolerate and thrive on oxygen. That was a living life form. Hawaii, most of the Pacific Islands have coral foundations. Coral reefs are produced by living animals.
Does that contribute to volcanoes erupting? Because right now in Hawaii is a volcano that
No, that's something different. But you have these islands built by volcanism and coral production. Corals are living organisms.
But the volcanoes erupting, is that part of climate change? Because it seemed like
that's part of the planet. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. Periodically, the planet does its thing, and there's not a damn thing we can do about it right now because we don't have the power and the knowledge to do it. We are getting there. But then the other thing is, too, if you burn up all of the fossil fuel that you are burning up and all of the wood that you're burning up, that byproduct goes somewhere. It gets trapped in the atmosphere. It does stuff about trapping heat and some other things, so ramps the temperature up, and it's predictable. Now, you can deny it or not, but it is what it is. I won't be around, I don't think, but a whole lot of land lost on the coast.
The leader of the WHO saying
a lot of crops are not going to be able to be grown, and people won't stop screwing, and they won't stop popping them out. So
the leader of the WHO
while we time feeding them, and you all going off into this entitlement. Everybody gets a participation ribbon, and there's some people out there that will cut your throat to get something. I hope you have a good time with them, and you want to defund the police, and then the police are just a product of the
But I
time.
think the police is not to protect us.
What's that?
The police, you said, is not to protect us.
Well, they are in one sense by keeping law and order, but they have no duty to personally protect you. That's what the Supreme Court has ruled over and over again.
Right. So whether you defund them or not, they're not really here to protect us.
Well, they're here to maintain public order, and public order, peace, dignity, etc., that produces an atmosphere free from violent stuff. Basically, what they do is if you get murdered, they'll put chalk around your body so they can see where you were, and then they go try to find out who did it.
Right.
But essentially, there's no way to stop you from being murdered if somebody wants to murder you, unless you murder yourself, unless you protect yourself. But then you're supposed to be disarmed, because that's going to get the crooks who will risk the death penalty by killing you. They're going to worry about violating the law for having a firearm. Oh, wow, we whoopee.
Also,
Oh.
I just want to add with the climate change, I also do believe climate change does affect poor people more. When we talk about environmental pollutants, and you know, and then in certain areas, Black people, depending on where you live at, like Harlem or the Bronx, they have a very high asthma rate, and that is because of the garbage that they bury underneath the parks and stuff like that in the ground, and the pollutants that's in the air. And everybody lives on top of each other in those contaminated areas.
Could do about that?
Hmm?
You know what can be done about that?
What?
Sit down with your kids on the other side of the kitchen table, help them do their homework. So in a scant few years, they can get out of that.
That's one way, yeah. And there's
Watch
multiple
who you
ways, but that's number
vote for,
one.
so
Yeah.
everything isn't given away to somebody that doesn't look like you, somebody doesn't give a damn about you, and get some of it brought back. Meanwhile, get out from in front of the goddamn TV set and find out what's going on in life and try to upgrade your employment skills.
Don't judge him, Joe Brown.